that being XRP. They're at Anchorage. And these are segregated bankruptcy remote insured accounts up to $100 million. It's important to, there's a lot of nuance on all this stuff with bankruptcy remote, right? So if Anchorage went through a bankruptcy, you would still have to go through the bankruptcy with them, but you would never be a creditor. Your assets would stay there the whole time. And whoever took over the trust charter and the bank would then allow you to access your assets. There's a few other options that are relief of stay where that wouldn't be the case. There's a large bank in New York where that's the case. And they would be cool if we could partner with them at some point. So that's that on the custody side. What's the chain of command? So I am an owner, Digital Wealth Partners, but I do not run the day-to-day. I'm not involved with the business over there. Obviously, I have a vested interest in the company because we own the business, but I don't manage the day-to-day, really have a whole lot of say in how things go. Erin Freeze is our president of Digital Wealth Partners, and there is a board that she's on. Max Kahn is the CEO of Digital Wealth Partners. And then we just brought on a new lady that is the COO of Digital Wealth Partners. We also have hired a compliance officer. Max Kahn he still is the compliance officer until she takes that seat here in the next couple months. We have a full C-suite there, and then we have the advisors that are underneath the lead advisors. So we have, kind of one head advisor that then has multiple pods. Each one of the pods has a lead advisor and sub-advisors, or junior advisors, if you want to call them that. And then they all have customer service reps that are beneath them. About 40 employees there at Digital Wealth Partners at this point. I think we have 27 total advisors and a little over 3,000 clients at Digital Wealth Partners. So that's the chain of command. And what are the complexities and why do you consider it the best? So for the security component at Anchorage, again, I talked about, them being bankruptcy remote, insured, segregated accounts. They use a derivative of copper. So MPC technology is what a lot of these platforms like Fireblocks and others use. To be FIPS compliant here in the US, you have to use HSMs, which are hardware security modules. So they've used copper, which is normally MPC technology, and added HSM component to that. And what they do is they encrypt the keys that they generate for the wallets when they spin one up for you, or inside their infrastructure. They encrypt the keys, they shard the keys, and then they hold the shards of the keys across the HSMs. These HSMs are in level 4 facilities. Many people, I don't know if they still operate this way, but Digital Trust, which does custody or used to do custody for Bitcoin IRA, I don't know if they do anymore or not, used to be in a level 4 facility on a ledger, right? So an individual would go in there and they would still transact on your behalf, see your keys, all that stuff. Inside Anchorage, nobody ever sees the keys. It's done on an algorithmic blockchain. And it's really kind of overlay ledger. It's analogous to a blockchain. And there's multiple people that have to sign off. It's multi-sig in order to be able to execute a transaction. We're one of those parties. You're one of those parties. And, a lot of things have to happen in order for assets to be able to leave the ecosystem. They have the most robust security. The keys, when they're reconstituted to be able to execute a transaction, never actually come all the way back together. And that's one of the reasons that, their security is so high. One of the other things, you could call it's not quantum proof, but it's definitely quantum resistant, a lot of the stuff that they do. And again, this is why BlackRock decided to move their assets to Anchorage to custody them. And I'm actually going to have Anchorage in the mastermind. I don't know if it's going to be this Saturday or next, but they're going to come in and talk about all of this stuff and more and how all that works. I don't know that we're going to get Nathan or not, but we may have Joe Medioli or Ben Hearn, who we work with there. Ben Hearn is the head of their wealth management division. And I think Joe is on the C-suite And then obviously Nathan's the CEO and founder of Anchorage. So we're going to have one of those people in the mastermind here in the near future to answer all the questions from the community. So if you, again, want to get access to that, want to understand all those complexities, like you just mentioned, we would love to have you there in the mastermind. You just go to beyondbroke.com, use the code beyondbroke, the number 1, and then MO gets you the first month at a small discount. The other thing that I haven't mentioned that I'm going to touch on before we wrap up here is, again, the webinar, just to reiterate for you guys, we have a Living Trust webinar on Thursday. Please go register for that. We also have an insurance webinar on Thursday. If you want to learn about insurance and digital assets and how all that works, it's going to be, this insurance webinar is not for everybody. Okay. It's going to be primarily for business owners, people that, have a higher income or equity ownership in a business. We're going to touch on split dollar and some of the more complex strategies to be able to, write off your insurance and get the benefit of that. So again, I don't expect that to have as many people, but I think it's going to be really interesting and applicable for the people that do have those things. So highly recommend that. And then again, the LLC component is where a lot of people will do the living trust. We're going to talk about the assignment of the LLC and the digital assets to your living trust on Thursday this week. So if you need an LLC, again, to manage your digital assets, if you've got at least $50,000 to $80,000 in crypto, I would encourage you to go look at us as an option, learn all that you can about it. You can work with another attorney. I think that we're going to be more economical than most people. But for $2,000 end to end, you get the corporate veil service, you get an EIN, articles of organization, certificate of good standing, registered agent, the template for the operating agreement, which is going to cost you, $1,800 to $2,500 if you go work with an attorney out of Wyoming that does it the right way. There's not a whole lot of them that understand how to structure this as a holding company versus a trading company and why that matters. That you need to do, a single member LLC and not a multi-member LLC to be able to mitigate the taxes because you might have a step up in basis or change in time frame if you do a partnership. They're not going to understand that 15 states have a qualified joint venture between you and your spouse, that you'd be able to circumvent that and when it's appropriate to use it and when it's not. So all those things, we do that. This is our day-to-day. We have done over 7,000 LLCs to manage digital assets versus other people. And again, we've offered this living trust alongside that so that you get the probate protection alongside the creditor protection and the anonymity that the LLC provides you. So again, if you want to check that out, you can go to digitalfamilyoffice.io and you can use the code 50OFFDAGLLC. That's 50OFFDAGLLC. Get you everything end to end for your crypto LLC. The holding company there. So it's 50 off DAG LLC. Rick Johnson, we already did this one, man, but I appreciate the compliment on the beefcake. He says, we got Dr. Denise, or Dr. Dennis. They say, hello, Jake, mastermind member. Appreciate all that you do. There's another Dr. Denise in our mastermind. That's why it was throwing me off. I appreciate you. Anyway, she goes by DD most of the time. You've mentioned ETFs alone should push XRP to 50 to $100 range. When do you expect ETF-driven price movement to start showing up? Once the available supply on the OTC desk and the dark pools are gone or very low, that volume will start moving to the exchanges. That's when we will see that demand move in. And again, I think a BlackRock ETF will be announced about the time that happens. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on. And I don't think there's a whole lot left. Maybe 150 million or less available on the OTC desk or the dark pools.